Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Collective Podcast. We have AJ with us today, and we have a special guest, which is a duo. We have AJ and Bianca. Welcome, guys. How you guys feeling today? Pretty good.
Good, good.
So
Good, man. We'll be sharing mics because someone forgot the equipment, but that's okay. That's okay.
we won't say who.
We won't say who. Yeah, we're not gonna say names. We're just gonna say last names Carvalho. But
Okay.
that's about it. That's about it. That's
Yeah,
good.
good thing mine is Carvalho, not Carvalho. Good, good.
It's in English. It's in English. Yeah.
Well, it's a special one just because this is so everybody can get to know who the collective is, right?
Yeah.
And then you guys are the newest addition to the collective, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a great pleasure that I welcome you guys as part of the Papa Worship Collective.
Thank you.
And then so we mentioned it a couple of times what you do for us.
Yeah.
You're the manager for Papa Worship, right?
Yes.
And then
Yes.
we'll get into the story of how that is coming along.
That came
and
to
then
be.
Bianca,
Yeah.
which is you're his wife, and then you're part
Yes.
of the vocals, right? You're a worship leader for us. So
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah.
so you want to go ahead and kind of share how we linked up?
Well, we met last year.
It's been a
It
year.
was 2020, right?
Yeah.
The ending of 2020. It was in a pastor's meeting. That's where we met. So we met actually a week after my sister committed suicide, which to me was crazy because I was down. I was like really, really. It was a tough situation to go through. You know, my wife was there. She helped me a lot. And then one day they invited me to this pastor's meeting. I was pastoring a youth, the youth in the church. So they invited me. I went and you guys were there, you know. So it felt different, you know. It wasn't your regular pastor's meeting, you know, that you just go, sit down, eat, you know, sing one song, you know, piano and voice, and that's about it. No, you guys were there. It was popping, bro. Like, it was good. It was good. I went with my friend. I remember, and I just started crying, bro. Like cuando empezaste a ministrar, you know, like when that time came in, I just started crying. It was crazy. It was crazy. That's how we linked up. That's how we met. We talked after the service, and we talked about doing a little concert in the church where I was at the time.
Yeah. A little session.
A little sesh. A little sesh. That's right.
Yeah.
That's how we met.
That's how we met, right? And we kind of connected through that. And then obviously I didn't know that you were a worship leader, you know,
At the church.
at that time. And you know, so we basically linked up that way, like we connected that way. And I remember we did a session in the valley, you know, with you guys. I always think of things like this. I always pray to God, like, you know, you get to a certain age where you feel like you've met all the people you got to meet. You know what I'm saying? Like your circle's already your circle. Just because you, like in my case, for example, right? We have kids, we have work or whatever. And it's already, we do ministry, and we're not looking to see going out or doing nothing like that. That's the truth. You know, we're busy building life already and family. But I also always tell God, like, allow me to be a blessing to others, and allow the people that are around me to, you know, to build me up, to help me. So I always know that God puts people in your way for a reason, for a purpose. And I'm a strong believer in that. I've been like that for a while already, that things don't happen out of coincidence. If you live your life putting everything in God's hands, then we understand that that's like saying, like my kids or our kids, right? Saying like living in our house. They're not worried about anything. They know that we got them. They know that we're going to supply, we're going to have everything. So that's the way that I mirror that, you know. So when I met you, immediately I was like, I didn't know you were a worship leader, you know. But immediately I was like, oh, you know, cool. He's a youth pastor, and obviously his wife is also going to be a leader or whatever. But we didn't think about working together. We just knew that, oh, you know, awesome guy, good family. You could tell right away, two beautiful kids. But I didn't know the situation that you guys were, in
Yeah.
at the time. So how was that for you though? Like my question basically is, how do you process it? How were you going through that time with him? Because I know it was his family, like his sister.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, it's tough, I think, to see your family and your husband go through a situation like that. And you process that, you have to process that on your own, go through the emotions, go through the emotions of that. And in a way, kind of be a rock for a person or be that person, but at the same time, learn how to process your own feelings as to that. So it's tough. It's tough to have to stay quiet. It's tough to have to listen and just be there because most of the time as human beings we want to say something, we want to give our input, do this, do that, but in that moment you can't. The stillness of you being there is what the person needs to be able to cope, and that love that the person needs. So it's tough. And not only that, coming from our year, our testimony when it comes to 2021, coming from a year where that wasn't the only thing that occurred. We went through our accident with our son, that he got hit by the car, with, losing kind of where we lived, and then, Angel almost passing away in that river. It was a year where you just have to cope, And at the end of the year, I had to put my emotions, kind of quiet them down so he could grieve, so he could process, So it's tough, and then that's where, there isn't any coincidence in when it comes to God, There are key people that are meant to be in your life in certain times of your life. And I think for Angel and I, meeting you and everybody when it comes to the pop-up, and the friendships that came from that, they're valuable. We couldn't make it up. It's just it's been an experience to be able to just rely on God and say, "Damn, God, you are putting people that we need on our life, in the right time." You never know how things would have been if we would have met in another time, But he put us in that moment, and you and your wife, Amy, and a lot of people were key people for us, and have been key people for us during this time.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's awesome to see, because this usually when we record these podcasts, right? It's funny and it's fun, and people are getting to know you guys. But at the end of the day, our prayer is that we leave something positive for the next generation, and that involves our kids, right? And that's why we're documenting what we do with Power Worship and this podcast, so that they can look back and see their parents, us, and see a different generation and what we believe about God's love and His mercy and His grace and forgiveness and a purpose. So this one is this session. It's a happy one. I don't want it to be like, because I know that this is what happened before we met you guys and the process. But moving forward, and we can see how God moves.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're older now, so I like to look at, like, when I look at how God was moving, and I didn't know He was moving before. I didn't know why He was doing certain things till later, right? Now I'm more vigilant about it. Now I'm more like, oh, He's doing something. He's doing this or He's doing that, and I can see it in my everyday life. And I'm grateful for you guys, because people, for pop-up worship, what we do is we talk about this. It's ministry, right? We're not trying to make money or nothing like that, or we don't do concerts, and charge people or none of that.
Yeah.
But I always, I'm the type that I just want to serve God, right? In the best way that I can. So it's through worship. That's what I know how to do. I'm a worship leader. You're a worship leader, right? Not that there's anything wrong with getting paid, because we talk about that, but it's not our intention. That's not what we're doing. When I look at the people that God adds to pop-up worship, like you guys, there's a different connection between you guys and the younger part of pop-up worship, because there's a younger part that doesn't have kids yet, they're still like, they're still growing as families and stuff, or they're single. But you guys have kids that are the same age.
Same age?
Yeah. How do your kids see like music and like worship? Like how do you see them? Like how do they see what you do?
I mean, I think for them it's a part of life. I think music for them is just life. They know that their dad plays the drums. They know that their mom sings, So for them, it's since they were born, that's what they know. I don't think, they know a life outside of being in that circle.
Yeah.
Being around people who are musicians, being around people who their life or their focus has always been music, So they like it. And at the same time, when you're around that, you don't appreciate it. So I know they like music, but it's not like other kids that you see being brought up outside of that. They're like, oh, drummers, guitar players. No, for them, it's like, oh, cool, you play the drums. Oh, cool, you sing, They're very blunt with me. They're like, oh, Mom, you messed up. You didn't say this word right. You do, and I love it. I love my kids being like that, but they're used to it. And one of them says he's going to sing, Nico. He's like, I'm going to sing.
Oh, really?
You hear him in the car. He has a really high range. So I'm like, I hope it stays. But yeah, I mean, they're used to it. And I mean, being around your kids who are also used to it, it's just, they clicked, It was like, okay, this is cool.
Yeah, because they've become really good friends.
They have, yes.
Yeah, they want to hang out.
All the time.
They want to go to church just because they want to hang out.
Yes.
Yeah. So, like, as a dad, how do you feel that? Do you push music on them? Do you push like ministry on them, or not really?
I mean, I think it's two different things. Ministry and music. We're blessed that when we met you, the church where you attend, they loved it. So for them, it's not hard to say we're gonna go to church. And in the church where we are right now in Luz y Vida, they clicked with everybody, like with the kids that are there, So it's like, for me to tell them we're gonna go to church, it's not a hassle, For me, they like it, and it's like, who's gonna be there, Is he gonna be there? Is that, So it's cool, And I think with music is the other way around, because they are like, okay, we want to learn how to play.
Oh,
so yeah. So right now they are like deciding.
Yeah, like
where Nathan was getting guitar classes before the pandemic. Then the pandemic hit, it kind of stopped. Everything closed, So right now we're trying to get back into it, So they like it. They're used to it, They've been surrounded by it since, like your kids, since they were born, So, I mean, for me, it's not hard to do both. Because I guess it's like you, man. Like, when you invited me to your church, you're like, hey, bro, let's go to church, And it's like you see the enthusiasm, in the other person. And they see it from us as well, that it's not like, we have to go to church, For us, it's like, we're going to go to church. Tom's going to be there. Amy's going to be there. And then they're like, oh, yeah, let's go, And we get to church and they push us to go to church, And they like it because they see the friendship, and they go and they learn. We have conversations after. What did you learn? And we've had it at Denny's. Like at 10:30, 11 with all the kids right there. What was the class about? So it's like when they see that enthusiasm from the parents, and seeing that genuine relationship with God, I think it defines them, since they're young. So thank God for us, it hasn't been hard. To take our kids to church, Yeah.
That's cool. I mean, I ask you that because, like, my kids, I don't push music on them. At all. I'm not like, oh, you're going to be a worship leader. You're going to be a drummer. You're going to be.
Yeah.
I just kind of, they get excited about Papa Worship. They're always, when's the next one? But like, I admire David Tejada because his oldest plays the drums with him. Yeah. And that's like a dream. It's like, oh, that's cool.
Exactly.
He gets to play with his son.
Yeah.
But I don't remember. I don't think David has pushed music on his kids either. Yeah. And I have a friend that she plays the piano. Yeah. She's Japanese, so she says that she hates it. She's really good. Yeah. She hates it because she says that her parents have made her. It's like a traditional thing. Like she had to do it. And I always think like, yeah, I don't want that for my kids. I don't want them to feel like, oh, I had to do this because,
Yeah.
you know.
But you know what? I think that's the way it was for me on the drums.
Really?
Because my dad told me, he's like, you need to pick an instrument.
Yeah.
And, I thought about it and I'm like, the drums. Because he's going to say no. He's not going to buy me a drum set, you know? And behold, man, like, he got me a drum set. He got me a teacher. He's like, you start classes. And he was always pushing me. You need to practice, you know? And by the time I was 11, I was already playing at bars with his friends, you know. And at the beginning, it was like that, you know. I didn't like it. I'm like, I'm not gonna do it. I would, whenever the teacher would call, I would tell him, hey, you know, my dad didn't leave me the money, so no class today. Or he will be in the front door, and I would go to the patio and get on the roof. And when he would go into the house, I would jump in the front lawn and just run away, bro. Oh, I didn't like it, man. I did not like it, you know.
You didn't like music at all?
I like music, but I just didn't want to play an instrument. I just wanted to go on and play, you know, go on the skateboard, you know, play soccer, you know, like kid stuff, you know, like hang out with my friends, you know. But when you really enjoy worshiping God, I think it hits you differently, you know, because I played, you know, secular music since a young age, you know, and it's different, man. Like when you're up there and you're actually worshiping God, you know, even though you're not singing, you're just banging on the drums, playing an instrument, you know, it hits you different, you know. So I would say push your kids a little bit, you know, but not that much. Yeah, to where they hate it. Maybe that's the problem, you know. But I mean, because I know we've had that conversation with you about, you know, Josiah is the one that says, I'm going to be next for Papa worship, you know. I'm going to be singing, you know, and all that. And,
well, they find me too. Like, oh, I'm going to sing. I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
We'll see. You know, I don't push it on them.
Yeah.
You know, I hope that, I hope and I tell God, like, well, they don't know this, you know, but I've been praying for them since they were in Amy's stomach. Like, you know, Josiah, I used to tell Josiah, I still tell God, but I remember I used to pray to God, like, whatever I can do, let him do it. And let him change the world, you know, I pray over him. Jeremiah, the same thing. Amara, the same thing. Yeah. I still pray for that. But I also know that in life, I feel like they have to be happy and they have to be passionate. They can't do stuff because I make them do it. You know? I was very fortunate, man. I have fortunate because I have a dad that didn't force, like, church on me, you know? Yeah. He didn't force religion on me. And some people have told me, like, oh, but that's weird because he's a pastor and he didn't make me go to church. And to be honest, not like that. He didn't make me go to church, you know. But his example was a big one in my life. Yeah. Like, his example as a man and as a Christian. So then I feel like, I got to be like that with my kids. Yeah. Yeah. You know, like, I don't know about your experiences, like, you know, at church, like growing up. Did you guys grow up in church?
Did you?
I did. I've been going to a Christian church since the age of 4. So I grew up in a church, a very legalista church, like we call, like hardcore skirts, you know, no jeans, no pants type of church, and it was imposed on me, but for some reason, I don't feel like that affected me. Yeah, like I feel like. I mean, I started singing at the age of 11 at church. So not only was I going, but I was actively participating. And, you know, I had my ups and downs like a teenager. Yeah. You're like, oh, this is boring. Oh, what am I doing? You know, you know, the whatever, every youth things, you know, when they're at church. But I think when I had the real encounter with God at the age of 19, I was like, okay, you know, this is my life, you know. God guarded me through a lot of situations by placing me in a church where, you know, I was there. I couldn't get into trouble. I couldn't do things that I shouldn't be doing, you know, and he guarded me as a woman, especially, you know, in this world. Yeah. And I was able to experience the good with the bad, learn from the bad situations, grow as a human being. And then when I encountered him, I was like, okay, this is real.
Yeah.
You know, all the things that I've been taught for so many years, I'm actually now experiencing them, and I understand, you know, God. You know, after that, I experienced Him, everything, and then I went back and I started doing things I shouldn't have been doing, you know? But the core thing about knowing who God was in my life was there.
Yeah.
You know, so I did grow up. It was pushed on me, but now I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, okay, this was God's purpose for my life, you know? He was
Yeah.
there. So, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I always think culture, like, we live in different culture, like different
Yeah.
culture, time changes, but God doesn't change, right? The Bible says He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. But at least this is my point of view. I always feel like, but how are we gonna teach our kids to love people
Yeah.
and love God, but in our culture, and to do it genuinely? Because we can get used to going to church. I feel like that happened a lot. Like in our,
Yeah.
like people get used. They get used. Like it's like a tradition. You just go to church because you go to church.
And it wasn't just one day a week.
Oh,
It was like 4 days a week. It's like Monday
Yeah.
Bible study, Tuesday prayer service, Wednesday something else, and then Thursday regular service, Friday youth meeting, Saturday service, Sunday service. It was
Yeah.
crazy. It was crazy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, and again though, you know, not like Papa worship we're bilingual, right?
Yeah.
And the reason we're bilingual is because we want to reach way more than
Yes.
just, you know, like not that are Hispanics, but you have to understand our kids are growing up here. Like I have problems with my kids that you know the smallest ones don't want to speak Spanish, and I'm like, you have to, and not that you have to because you're Hispanic, you have to, but you have to because that's just part of who you are. That's who we are. Yeah, you know, like I don't know about you guys, but I always tell like Josiah, Jerry, and Amara, like you have to know who you are. And I tell them like your grandpa's a pastor. You know, I'm a leader. I'm like, we love God, we serve God. So I'm like, that's where you come from. You're third generation of a family who believes in God in a different way. Because it is kind of weird, you know, not weird, but I can see where people who don't go to church or don't have that type of relationship with God like that, they don't see that normal. Like, they're gonna go do what? They're gonna go sing? Why? Like, you know, are they famous? Like, why do they do that?
Yeah.
You know, but I feel like we have to instruct them now, you know, but correctly in a genuine way. And that's why I ask you, you know, like do you force it on them, like, you know, the church thing? Because I try not to, you know. Obviously, they have to go to church because they're our kids, right? Like, if we go to church, they got to go to church. I'm not going to leave them at home not doing nothing or not doing anything. But I'm not forcing, like, religion on them. I'd rather take, like, my dad's, like, the way that he was, where they can see, you know, that I'm the same person everywhere that I go, you know?
Exactly. I mean, I think the main problem also is that we're in a fatherless society where, you know, and most of the time, if the head, the father, the dad is not there, you know, we're raising kids without that example.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's weird, you know, because it's like you think and you read the Bible and you see that God says that, you know, I'm the father, I'm the shepherd, you know, he's always portraying himself, you know, like the father that is waiting for the son that left, waiting for him to come back. And, you know, he goes and he does, and he makes a party, you know, when he came back. He's that loving father, you know. So I admire that from you. The times that I've spoken to your dad, you know, I admire that, you know, because I can see the love. And for example, for me, we grew up Catholic, kind of, you can say, you know. My dad started going to church when I was like 14, 15, maybe. And I saw the change in him, you know, because like I told you, you know, I started playing with his friends. We would go to, he was part of the AA, you know, so I would play with his friends, you know, there, and whatever they would invite his friends to play, I would go. But I saw that change, that he changed his life. Yeah. And I went from playing pool with my dad's friends, you know, to my dad being like, oh, we're going to go to church today. And I was like, why? Why? Like, we go to mass, you know, like once a year, you know, like why we're gonna go to church, you know. And I would go to church, and I would say, and I'm like, this guy is not wearing the white thing right here. Why? You know, like we don't say, El Ave Maria, El Padre Nuestro, you know, and all that. So I'm like, why? But I saw that change in my dad. It was a real change, you know, and it impacted my life that today, you know, I'm still following it.
Yeah.
And, you know, my dad, he doesn't go to church because of his work, you know, that's the excuse that he has, you know, but it's like it impacted me, and that's what I feel it's lacking a lot in society in general. I can't just say, you know, the Latino society, but there was this, they were checking if the dad goes to church, 80% of the time the whole family goes to church.
Yeah.
You know, if only the mom goes to church, you know, only like 10% of the times the whole family goes to church. So we need the fathers in the church. We need that man figure in the church. You know, we need for us as a father to be, hey, you know, like we're gonna pray tonight. You can't do this, you can't do that. You know, with that fatherly voice. You know, with that love. You know, so. It's something that we need as a society, you know. So I hope I don't know. I deviated a little bit from the question, you know. But
No. I mean, it's a conversation, you know.
Yeah.
It's funny that you said it. I have a mentor of mine that used to say. I remember he preached one time and he said, if you don't want like, you know, like your kids, and he was talking about like Latinos and, you know, and African American. He said, if you don't want your kids to be arrested and beaten by cops, then you need to teach them at home to respect.
Yeah.
You know, to be normal functioning people in society. And it sounds kind of mean,
harsh,
but it is true. You know, I feel like a father figure, you know, is very important. I was just talking to my dad the other day, and I was telling my dad, like, I mean, growing up, you know, we all do our things. I think we all, you know, I was a teenager here in America, but at the same time, I was telling him, I'm like, man, I tried my best never to disrespect you, because that's what he taught me, or disrespect his house. You know, and you obviously do disrespect because, you know, when you do things that you're not supposed to be doing. But I mean, like physically, you know, like, or you know, in his face, or telling him something, or talking back, or doing things, you know, that in his home, in his house, it never happened. You know?
Yeah.
But it goes back, like now we're older, now we're parents, and I understand. Like I like you said, I see like the relationship that God has with a father one. You know, so I do feel for the people that don't have. Didn't have a dad or don't have a father figure, because I feel like it could be a two-way sword. Either they can find that with God, or they can't assimilate that. They can't see the relationship. They're kind of like, I don't have a dad, so I don't need that, you know. In which I've had conversations with people who are like, I don't think I need that, you know. I don't see why. Like, I didn't have one then, I don't have one now. But, you know, at the same time, it's like, I feel like it's our job now as Christ followers to be that example, to do that, to mirror God for our kids, you know? What are you thinking about?
I mean, I grew up in a household with a stepdad and without my real dad. You know, I had a relationship with my real dad my whole life, but I do see that, you know, I do see how that affects you. I do see spiritually how a daughter, especially not having their, you know, dad, you know, because, you know, my stepdad loved me, you know, loves me, you know, he raised me. He's like my dad, you know, but the emotional trauma and the insecurities, everything that comes along with not having your dad, you know, there, it's real, you know. So that really makes sense. That percentage of the 80% and the 10% really does make sense, because it takes a lot for you to overcome that. You know, it takes real work for a woman, I'm sure a man as well, to overcome what comes along with the divorce, what comes along with the dad not being there, what comes along with not having that guide. Because, again, my stepdad was there, but my heart My dad is my dad.
Yeah, of course.
You know, and he would show up. He was there, you know, a lot more now. You know, my dad and I now have an extremely good relationship.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that I didn't go through things and I didn't experience that, you know? So, you know, that's why there is, you know, the formation of the family, because your mom teaches you something, your mom gives you certain love, your dad shows you things as well. Your dad is that security for a child, you know, and that unity of the family, the way God intended it to be, does have a lot to do with your perspective of life and the way you process things in life as well. So, I mean, it's just the family. The family is key to children's development, children's life, children's way of processing things, children's, you know, way of going through life. Because if you grow up with parents who are lovable, who are there, you know, with their problems and all, but they're there, it does provide a sense of security for people, you know? So, you know, that does make sense, that what is it, inquiry? Or encuesta, inquiry.
Una encuesta is
I forgot the word.
yeah, me too. I'm feeling
Bro, I translated it. I'm like blanked out right
Not
now.
questionnaire, something else. I'm like, ugh.
But I mean, I like it when you guys come over. We have these conversations.
Yeah.
Because we're like the
We're like
same
3-hour conversations.
Because we're in the same on the same boat.
Yeah.
You know, we have young kids. They're hitting the teens. You know, yeah, almost, almost. But we love God. You know, we love serving. And that's why you guys come along with pop-up, because I haven't really explained what it is. So you come on board and you're a worship leader with us, right?
Yes.
You're a vocalist. How does that feel for you? Like, are you enjoying it? Because I've never asked you. I kind of was just like, hey.
I'm not gonna lie. The first couple times it
Yeah.
was. Well, I mean, how many times have I sang? Actually, like four.
4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
The first couple times it was a little nerve-wracking.
Really?
Because you don't know people,
Oh,
you're
yeah,
trying
I
to
get it.
mesh,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and we've never really sat with everybody.
Yeah.
It's just like, here is Bianca. She's coming
she's on
into
board.
the
Yeah, yeah.
picture, you know.
Yeah.
But there is something about meeting people who love to do what you love to do
Yeah.
too, you know. And I feel like, again, we all mesh really well. We get along really well,
Yeah.
and being in those, you know, practices or just being there in an actual session, it feels comfortable. I told Angel not so long ago, AJ or Angel, whichever he goes by.
Angel AJ.
Angel AJ. I hadn't felt what I feel now for what I'm doing
Yeah.
in a really long time. You know, sometimes you just get used to.
Yeah.
You get used to singing. You get used to singing this. You get
Yeah.
used to doing this.
Yeah.
And you forget that there's supposed to be passion and there's supposed to be love behind that, you know?
And purpose. Sometimes we lose that.
Yes.
Yeah, we lose the purpose because we get used to singing in the church. Not that there's wrong with, like, you know, we have to have worship
Yeah.
leader, but you're kind of like, oh, I have to lead on every Sunday or every
Yeah,
Thursday, right?
every Sunday, you
Yeah.
know? And you actually enjoy the times where you say, you're not going to sing. You're like, instead of it being the opposite, you know? So I think, again, going back to the beginning, God is amazing when he places people in your life, because I think now I'm like, if I would have met you, Tom, if I wouldn't have met David, and I wouldn't have met our pastor, how would this have been?
Yeah.
You know? Because David is my, what is it, the MD?
He's an MD, yeah.
For our church. So, you know, me knowing him through pop-up and then church, it was just like there, you know. It was like, it's not, you're not doing it because of the connections, but God literally connected us, you know. And the fact that, yes, there was a lot of things that I had to deal with, but the fact that I was able to go into it and God reminded me, this is what I meant for you to do, not that.
Yeah.
This is your passion. This is what you love, you know? you love to serve God through what He gave you, your talent, you know? So it's kind of been a very nice experience filled with emotions of nervousness,
Yeah, yeah,
you know, being scared at the same time because it's new,
yeah.
a lot of emotions, but it's been good. I've been really grateful
Yeah.
for everything and to God for how He did things, you know?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, you know what? I guess when you, through God, you understand that God has His way of forming His people. So sometimes through that pain, you have to go through so that you can know like what not to do or what not to do to people,
Oh, yeah.
or what not to, or not to expect certain things, but to trust God fully.
Yeah.
You know, I man the same way with with you, right? When we met, I mean, I'm never thinking like, oh, maybe he can sing or maybe they can do this, or it's just not my thing.
And you
A lot of
asked
people.
me to be a part of it without even hearing
Yeah,
me
yeah,
sing.
no, but it's because you have to understand like the heart of pop worship is not to have all these amazing singers. Even though that is a prayer, right? You guys got
Yeah.
to. But the way that I look at it is like, well, we're a team. So if you're a worship leader, if you have a passion to serve that way, and you love like worshiping and you understand what that is, because it's not about singing. Like people don't understand that. A lot of people don't understand that, but it's not really about singing. That's part of it, and that's awesome if you're really good at it. We get to do that. But the heart of a worship leader is the one that cares for the people in a different level, like in a different place, and we can get into deeper about what that means. But pop-up worship is filled with people who love God.
Yeah.
And we're not perfect, and nobody's saying like, "Oh, we're the best," or nothing, neither talent-wise, or because I'll be the first one to always say, I'll say it here too. I've always said I'm not a singer. Like, I admire people who are like they could sing anything on there, but I'll sing, and they sing, and I'm like, hey, you're a good singer, you're cool. I don't have the guts to sing, go out there and sing because that's not what I do.
The runs and the
Yeah,
riffs.
I don't think I'm like, I think it's a different thing when you get up there and you minister.
Yes.
And I'm not knocking on people who do that. If I think talented people are, man, that's what I tell musicians. Like, man, you're so not lucky, but you're so blessed to know what you can serve in because you're a musician. Like, you got a talent already. That's what you were meant to do. Like, you're good to go. Versus other people who are not talented at all. So it's kind of hard. Like, oh, can I go greet somebody? Or not that there's anything wrong with that, but
So
you don't know
hard.
what to. It's harder.
They have talents that aren't seen.
Exactly.
Those are harder to see.
That's like you. No, but we met at a time right where so public worship we're basically a nonprofit, right? That's what we are. In a sense where we are gonna serve God and people, and what we know how to do, we will spread the gospel.
Yeah.
But after I got to know you and we got to know each other more. Then I started finding out that you used to work at the radio station.
Yeah.
And you have experience not managing people, but you have experience, working with different,
Putting together events,
Yeah,
yeah.
And for real, bro, I had been telling God like, okay, like we already a good team, like a tight team, like
Yeah.
like what can I do to serve better? Like how can we make this team go to another level? Like serve in a better way. And obviously it comes to like, I can't do everything. I don't know how to, I don't know about taking it to that. I don't have that experience.
Yeah.
So then you come into the picture, and I quickly remember, like, God has His way of putting His people. God puts people where they need to be.
Yeah.
So I remember I asked you, I said, hey, man, would you be interested in,
Yeah. Yeah, I remember.
And to helping us, do that. So
I mean, it's a privilege, and God has His timing,
Yeah.
Well, like Bianca said, we went through a rough year.
Yeah.
2021 was really tough. And just basically having the same prayer, God put people, put the key people in my path, show me where.
Take away those that aren't meant to be in our lives anymore.
Yeah, and sometimes you pray and you don't think about what you're praying, and God acts, I'm not gonna say mysterious ways because it's not mysterious,
But it's like the people that say like, God use me, right? And then God, they're being used, and I feel used. And like,
Exactly.
right? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
that's what you prayed for. Of course
Yeah.
you're gonna be used.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, like, God, please let me let me, help people connect, and stuff like that. And then you end up like that. You end up feeling used, and God used you in the way that you were praying. So sometimes, like we got to a point where we left church on Sunday, and then I was like, I thought to myself, wow, like I literally, I don't have anyone to call that is in my same spiritual level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then Monday comes in.
Humbly, not enough.
Humbly.
Yeah, not like I'm the best.
No, I mean, like,
Can be.
yeah, but you know what I mean? It's like,
I understand what you mean.
being a youth pastor, being kind of part.
Maybe somebody that you feel confident sharing. Not maybe your spiritual level, but somebody who you feel confident sharing certain information.
Like we said, somebody who can give you sound advice.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right?
Yes.
exactly. Yeah.
I get you.
So it's like, because we worked in worship
Yeah.
for what? I mean, I guess since we met, that's how we met. We met like that. She walked into church.
Yeah.
I remember like if it was yesterday, bro. Like I was coming out of the restroom, first day in church. She walks by and I'm like, wow, Then the next Sunday, I'm doing sound check on the drums, and I start doing stick tricks. I start throwing the stick because she walks in, right? The sound guy is right there, Bianca walks in, and I'm like, this is my moment to shine, bro. Like I'm the only one. We have.
And mind you, this is the church where I grew up in. Everybody knows me, so they know how I am.
Yeah, I don't know how she is.
Fall, I laugh.
Yeah, so I had just changed the heads from the drums, and I started doing the stick tricks, She walks in, and I'm like gonna give the grand finale just so she can see that I'm an excellent drummer, you know what I mean? But bro, the stick hits the side of my glasses, and then it falls to the floor.
The stick hit his face.
It didn't hit my face. It fell to the floor, and I picked up the stick when I came back up. I'm like, oh, good. She walked out. She didn't see me.
Yeah.
But bro, she was like on the last bench in the church. She just comes out. Wow. She was cracking up, bro. That's how we met, doing ministry, We grew up together. We were really young. I was like, what, 21 when we got married? When we met, I was like 20?
22, I was 21.
Yeah, and we were really young, bro, and we did ministry for such a long time, We're kind of used to those changes, but I'm like, God, it's like, I'm just tired, like I want to do ministry. I love you. Put the people, that are going to help me grow. And, and like Bianca said, take away those people that are not, that you feel stagnant for a while, And after what we went through, we just didn't have that sound advice of, this is the next step, or I can't help you, look for help, which is something that you told me. It's like, dude, like you need to kind of seek professional help, in a way. Because it's like going through a loss like that, like my sister passes away, like Bianca said, I got into an accident on the lake. I almost died. I almost drowned, bro, So it's like, I'm not a perfect swimmer. I'm not Michael Phelps, but I'm a good swimmer,
Yeah.
And I'm like, I was about to give up, bro. I was like, oh, that's it, aquí quedé, and it's like going through all that. At the beginning of the year, my kid getting into an accident, which was, we saw it. Like, it was literally right in front of us. It was a Dodge Charger that hit my kid head on, bro. Like, the guy was going like 35 miles an hour. It wasn't a little accident. It was a huge deal. And besides that, the guys that were working on the construction site, that were the friends of this guy that hit my kid, they run towards us and they start telling my oldest kid, I saw him, he pushed him. When it didn't happen, like my kid just walked out and the guy was being reckless and he was going crazy, And after going through all that, talking to you, started talking to people, God, God is beautiful, bro. Like, God is love, and He put the people that were supposed to helped me through that situation, and I feel we're growing together, so it's been a huge blessing. I don't know if you have something to add to.
That's a lot of content that we had to get through. This needs to be a longer podcast. Yeah.
No, yeah, I mean, it's that prayer, like you said, that a lot of people make. They use me, put the right people in my life, take away the people that shouldn't be. And with this, I'm not devaluing a lot of people. I think I wanna say, those people meant something to me, and they were something to me in the moment where God allowed it to.
They served a purpose. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and they were great friends.
Yeah.
They were great helps, like they were there, and for a long time.
Yeah.
But just like, every year trees or flowers, have to lose their leaves and regrow and kind of branch out again.
Yeah.
A human being needs to do that. We cannot stay in one place too long, because then we start conforming and we stop growing, So they were, again, what they needed to be, when they needed to be, but in that particular moment, we needed more.
Yeah.
We needed people who challenged us, in a different level, because we needed that. And, along with, we needed the love, and we needed, to feel comforted. We needed people who did all that and still pushed us up and said, you guys deserve and need to do more, So it was, it's an experience. I see that year and I see the whole process now. Yeah. You met me when I was in the thick of it. Yeah. And I was like, because it was
tell, to be honest. I mean,
except for like a couple conversations, right?
Obviously, when you start conversating more, then you're like, oh man, they're going through a really rough time,
Yeah.
And then obviously, I don't know.
I hit it well.
You did, yeah, the poker face,
The poker face.
But I mean, like anything, I think I don't like the word like seasoned, like as a Christian, but you have the enough experience of life as a Christian too to be able to like I'm gonna pray for them. I'm gonna keep on praying for these people. I'm gonna love on them just because, and it's hard because if we go into a conversation about this, it's hard because you can't love everybody, but the Bible doesn't say to love who you feel like you love. It just tells you to love. So we're human beings, like you said, and it's hard. But I am extremely grateful for your lives and for your family. I'm grateful that I get to be part of it. That I get to be, like I told God to use me, and here you go.
Yeah, you were like a key part, and I don't know. God is good. There's no other way. You say God. People normally say, God, give me miracles. I want to experience miracles in life. And sometimes you think it's grand gestures. We've experienced both, because my son being alive, us being able to heal through that's to me a miracle,
Yeah, it's like in that year, God was like, it
was like, I need you guys to speed up. I think you guys are going too slow. And he doesn't make things happen, but he allows certain situations to occur, and then he steps in and he's like, let me show you my power in this situation. Let me show you what I can do in your life. Let me show you what I could do and what could come out of that situation, if you want to do it or not, It's not easy. It's not for everybody. Not everybody is able to withstand, kind of the pressure of the molding. You see, glass, or you see diamonds, the forging of that, it's not an easy process,
definitely.
So it's almost, nos está forjando. He's forging us to be these diamonds who are shining, who are light, So, y resplandecen in every situation. If you put a light out to a diamond, it shines every direction, So it's the fire, it's the trials, the tribulations, it's the people, it's, your heart, your love, the love that's coming towards you. I think one of my key phrases ever, and whenever when I worship God, is, God, use me, and use me as a person, use me as a vessel, and use also whomever is receiving this to for me, like it's that receiving, that giving, that everything, because people and ministry and everything is extremely key. We're designed for that. I really believe we're designed for that. That's what you see. We go into the topic now of like people with depression, of anxiety, of feeling like they're abandoned, feeling like they don't have anybody because they're not doing what God designed them to do, which is that, the giving, the actual being there for people provides to you a certain comfort, a certain thing that is missing. I think Angel was the one that taught me that there's a body part, there's a place in your body where there's actually nothing in it. It's like hollow in your heart. We're genetically and spiritually made so that the love of God fills that spot in your body.
Look at that.
There's no other thing that could fill it up. So imagine, like,
What a wise man.
what a wise man. He is a very wise man when he wants to be. But it's, we are, made for that. We wouldn't feel empty if we weren't. We would feel whole. I say that when people, I feel so empty, I feel like there's something missing. I'm like, do you have God? Do you love God? Because, if we didn't need that, then we would be fine without it, So I think, life is a journey. We go through things. We experience things. We have to take the good from it. Like you said earlier, you have to, learn from the bad, learn from your mistakes, learn from what other people have done. Yeah. Take that, and just say, you know what, God, how am I going to use this? What part of this testimony do you want to speak on? Yeah. What part of this testimony do you want me to speak about to others, Yeah. And for me is that the worship at all times. Like there's no other thing. Like our son, the week after he got hit, he's alive. I don't think we mentioned that. He's alive.
He's good.
He's good. He's growing. He's wild. The week after, he said, I want to go to church. And that to me was like, oh man. Yeah. His favorite song in that time when he was going through the healing process, it took about 2.5 months, almost 3 months for his to heal, was See a Victory by Elevation Worship. And I remember I would hear it often because I'm like, I'm going to see this victory. He's going to heal, because as a parent, the doctors are telling you he'll be fine. But at the same time, you're just like, we went to the doctor's appointment to get his boot off because it was a three process thing. We got his boot off. We were in the car, and the song that came out was that one. And I was like, dang, God, if you not only have shown me through this whole process that you're there, now you're telling me, look, not only are you going to see it, you saw it. Like, you saw the victory in this situation, So it's those things where, yes, it's the growing with God. It's the evolution of you as a human being, and I think that's why I love God so much.
That's great. I mean, that's an awesome advice, to finish off the podcast. But thank you guys for joining us, for being part of our team. I'm glad that people get to see that, this side of Pop-Up. That we have even more serious conversations about these things. But I love you guys. I bless you guys. And you have a closing statement?
No, bro. Just thank you. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you to Amy, David. I guess even Pastor Juan Carlos. I met you through
Shout
Pastor Juan Carlos. Pastor Arevalo. We from Lucy Vida. That's our home church right now, and it's been great. And just thank you for making us feel like family, bro. Yeah.
For sure. All right. Close it off. Where can they find us?
We want me to sing? No. Close it off, sing it? No, I'm just kidding. So, right, Instagram, Pop-Up Worship Collective, they can find us right there. We're going to be posting more information about what's coming up. And next year is going to be great. You know,
It
we
is,
have
yeah.
a few things already lined
Well,
up.
by the time this comes out, it'll be already
It,
2023.
will be already
Yeah.
2023. Yeah,
So
that's
this
right.
year.
So this year, yeah, follow us. Yeah, awesome. Thank you everybody for
We'll
connecting.
see you guys next time.
Yeah.
God bless.
God bless you.